Hello, welcome back again to another episode with us. As you can notice, we're in a little bit different of an atmosphere here because we're going to talk about something a little bit different, a program that we do here at Back Mountain Microgreens called Farm Fresh Hope, a little bit of an extension of our microgreens and our edible flowers. So stay tuned, take a listen, and tell us what you think.
Hi everybody, my name is Gail. This is my husband Luke, and like Luke said in the intro, we're not in our grow room today here at Back Mountain Microgreens. We have a little bit of a different setup, but it's just because we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today. So we're going to start with what we were doing in our Farm Fresh Hope program. So when we first started our microgreens business, Farm Fresh Hope was just what we called how we wanted to kind of connect or give back to our local community. Giving is a big part of what we do here. We always want it to be that a major part of our business is to give back to the community, but we're still relatively new. We're so busy. We just passed our 2-year anniversary. We didn't even mention it on social media, but we're kind of new as a business. We're in business over 2 years now, but we're still really new. And so things are kind of changing and adapting. We're realizing that maybe we can reach that goal of getting in touch with our local community a little bit better. So let's just kind of go over what we were doing with our Farm Fresh Hope and,
I think
kind of sum it up.
Farm Fresh Hope is even newer than our business. I mean, we started, but we didn't start off with Farm Fresh Hope. It came to me as an idea during farmers markets, and there was a local chef that I thought, wow, why don't we pair up with the local chef? She was doing cooking demonstrations at a farmer's market. And I thought, well, if we can incorporate our microgreen, she already was, but I'm like, if we can do it together and somehow take some proceeds out of that and give back to the community, that might work out. And then I thought, well, why do it just once? Why don't we do it with more chefs? We service a lot of restaurants. So we kind of got together, and we didn't start it until last November. So really it's only
been a few rounds.
6 months. Yeah, 6 months or so. But it was greatly received, but just like anything, you would like it to be more received and grow.
And so what we were doing was partnering with local chefs, either at, restaurants that we found or people that were nominated online through a forum, really, just to come to our farm to visit what we do, see what we do, kind of get to know us. We got to know them a little bit and come up with a custom microgreen mix. But what that meant is having to create a new product and, rotate something new into the mix of other products we're already growing, and maybe just not necessarily grow a new product, but create a new mix. Right. And so that was kind of intense for us. And
it was a lot. I mean, it was a great idea. It's still a great idea, but there's a lot to it. And one thing that we try to do in sustainability on our farm is not have waste. And when you're creating a product of mixes, where we would grow a whole tray of something, you'd be able to sell that whole tray. But if we're taking 2 or 3 things from a tray, maybe we don't then sell that whole tray, because we're just taking pieces in order to create this mix. Even though it's all a great idea, but we're trying to find a better way to make it sustainable and not have waste as well.
Mm-hmm. So you think that covers everything of what we were doing? And also, I think part of having the mix was marketing it and writing a blog post or, including a snippet about the chef in our newsletter or online and social media. And so there was a really big component. Part of it was the mix, but there was also a really big part of it that was getting to know the person. So we really enjoyed having people here to visit and just getting to talk to them, get to know them. And I, as much as I hated English in school, actually really kind of enjoyed writing blog posts and newsletters about the people that we were working with, and also getting to know the charity, highlighting, each person that came that we did a mix with ended up choosing a charity that they wanted us to support. And so that was just kind of a way for us to get to know different organizations in the community and highlight them on our webpage as well. So kind of a bunch of different pieces.
Getting everybody to know, not only to know us, but to know a chef, to know the restaurant maybe they're working at, and again, to know their charity, maybe a charity that somebody didn't even know existed. So yeah, it was all around for everyone helping each other out, and just exposure and making it a collaboration, with somebody that's more well known can really bring somebody else to the front so that other people know more about it. So that's where we were, and we realized that the relationship with the chefs is really where it was at, because relationships with people in general is where we're at. That's how we build within our community, and having those relationships is really where it stood out, not the mix.
Okay, so that kind of covers what we were doing. So anything else for that?
No.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of what we were doing, what we're switching gears, and what we're doing, trying
what
to
we're
do.
Gonna go toward.
We're going towards, right. We haven't implemented it yet because we still have a mix that's in play with where we're at right now. But what we're going to work towards is, one thing we did was, again, the mixes, it was combining different microgreens into a mix, and change, and wasn't changing or making a new product. It was putting the same products we have together. And
in a different way,
in a different
way.
But there was potential for waste in that. And then there was also a time frame. We put a time frame on it so that we can get another chef in or another person in to do their mix. So it kind of limited. And then there was, obviously, we don't have 28 days in every month. We should, because it would make it a lot easier for 4 weeks. But the days would mess with our delivery schedule, and when one would end and when another one would begin. And there was a lot of moving parts to it that we felt that there was a better way.
And not to mention, if somebody wanted something in their mix that takes 6 weeks to grow, and we're only doing the mixes every 2 months,
right,
that meant, a few weeks into one mix, we'd already have to have the second chef online to be able to coordinate all the products for the items that they wanted,
Not everything is a 1 week grow. There's a lot of different things in that. It started to just look like maybe there was a better way that we can go about things.
It was, I hate to say it was more work than there was reward, but that's kind of what we're getting at. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, nobody wants to admit that they messed up and went the wrong direction. And like Luke said, it was an awesome thought to, collaborate with chefs, and to be able to donate a portion of their product sales to charity was awesome. But we're just kind of rethinking the whole thing.
And the best way to get to get the most money out there into the community. We talk about food insecurity all the time, and how to benefit that in a more beneficial way. So
what are we actually going to be doing?
So we're going to stop doing mixes, and we're actually going to extend it to not only chefs, but people all around that use our product, our everyday customers. Mm-hmm. Because we have, in videos prior, we talked about the 3 different groups that we actually service. And one is obviously chefs, because they use it in the restaurant. But then we also have your everyday foodie person, chef at home that wants to use it. Mm-hmm. But then we also have the health person that uses it for, we have some customers that honestly buy more than some restaurants do. And they're just using it for themselves at home, because of the nutritional factor of it. So there's a whole nother demographic of people that we're not reaching when we do mixes.
Yeah, we kind of left out 2 big segments of our customers, and it just didn't sit well with us. It would be nice to be able to connect with our whole audience, rather than just a select
part. So we're not saying that we're not going to have chefs again. We're going to have chefs, but we're going to stray from doing a mix. Talk about what microgreens they use and why they use them, probably in those, or learn a little bit more about them, why they even like microgreens, what is in it for them, but also offer it out to our everyday customers. We have customers that have amazing stories that we hear all the time, just in text messages, when we say, "Oh, do you need anything this week?" And they're on it, and they give us the feedback. We feel that that's so much more interesting to put out on a video or a blog post, so that people can hear it, so that when they do research and they're looking, they see that, and especially in our local community, go, "Wow, I didn't even know." And maybe Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or you go, "Wow, I didn't know that that's what they were doing," because I haven't talked to them. Or
it's just all about the community aspect. Whether you're a chef, or whether you're interested in microgreens for the health benefits, or you're somebody cooking up some crazy stuff in your home kitchen on the weekend to impress your friends or your family. It's just about the community. We want to connect with people, our customers, and we want one customer to be able to connect with another in the same community. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're headed.
And learn, learn and be able to take that extension of, why do we have some people that buy more than a restaurant does? Well, first off, a restaurant's only using maybe it just as a garnish, so a little bit goes a long way. But then there's people that use it every day in their smoothies, in their shakes, in their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, in their prepared meals. So they use a lot more of it because they're consuming it a lot more. And maybe it's not just them. Maybe there's maybe it's a husband and wife. Maybe it's a husband and wife and children. Maybe it's just, somebody that they have in their family that needs that health push. It's something that they can consume. We talked about that in previous videos, that we have those people out there. So that's going to be our change. It's not a huge, it's not a big turn the other way. It's implementing a new way to grow in this thought.
A little bit of a change of how we were doing it before, and something that we feel will much better support the people that we're serving. Yeah. I think it's neat to get to know people, and again, just go back to the whole community aspect. And there'll still be proceeds to charities, and we'll learn those when we talk to the people that are involved. Maybe they have different ideas that we do. So we kind of figured asking the people that we invite onto the videos or the podcast, whatever you want to call it, asking them what charity they're interested in would be a really good way for us to not only get to learn about different and more organizations that are helping our local community, but to get to learn about the people that we're inviting on the show. So not only do we get to kind of hear, what they think about the greens, or, who they are as people, but who they're supporting or who they would like us to support with this program kind of gives us a little bit more insight as to who they are as people. Right. So just a good way to get to know everybody, and
why something is near and dear to someone's heart. I mean, we've had this is our fourth mix that we're on now, and every story was something different, from somebody that worked in the organization, somebody that saw a need and filled it and they created an organization, another person that served at I think it was a soup kitchen, and just learned more about that program that was going on.
And
so there were
get involved
more, all different aspects. So there's no reason that can't grow. So again, another reason to shift gears and learn more, and more charities, more about people and about the community as well.
So before, we had like a 2-month timeline where every 2 months we were changing up the mix and promoting someone new. And that's, I guess one part of this that we haven't really mentioned was just promoting people. So obviously it's awesome for us to be able to promote a chef or a restaurant or a catering business or something like that. But I think the 2-month thing was really for us so that we could plan the mixes. This we're kind of shifting to really no specific timeline at first, just so that if we start with maybe just say one chef a quarter, and our one YouTube video for that quarter or that month, whatever, is a specific customer, we're not going to say, okay, every quarter, every month, or every 2 months, whatever, we're going to do another one. It's just going to kind of we'll take it as it comes.
We'll see how many people. I mean, if we have a flood of people, then there'll be a flood of charities. But it'll be an overall proceed. It won't just be a mix, that's going in.
And we've already had our most recent chef, Dylan, is someone who was nominated. We've already had other customers reach out and say that they would be interested in talking to us. So we're kind of like ramping up for this. While we're talking about it, if you're interested in being on this show, or know someone who you think would be really super interesting that we could talk to, or
more interesting than we are. Plug away.
Someone that we could maybe learn something from, we're more than happy to take suggestions or whatever, let us know what you think. So
this is obviously our first run at this YouTube part of it. And, it's a learning curve for everything. You don't have to be photogenic, or, I'm not good on TV, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. It's just sit and talk.
Well, and that's exactly what it was when we went on Getting to Know the 570. The reason, it's a marketing agency that runs it. And so obviously they know what they're doing with video versus, just audio, radio type shows. The whole reason they do an audio podcast only is because so many people are reluctant to be on video. Listen, guys, we're in our living room right now. We're not fancy about this. The whole point is just to get
the story.
Know people.
Get the story out there.
Storytelling, you know what I mean?
So. The best thing about that podcast, not best thing about it, but one of the things that stuck out was the gentleman that ran it said, you want to have a conversation that if you were at a diner, that the people behind you paid their bill but didn't leave because they were so interested in what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. You talk and
it's more than just microgreens.
Whatever comes out.
Yeah, whatever comes out, comes out. We just want to get to know people, get to know our customers, and kind of, go from there.
So. So all that being said, we kind of tied two things in together there: our what and our why. So it may have gone a little bit farther along than when we wanted to, but really our why is to change and be able to have a broader scope of our customers and our community, so that we can better impact the community with the proceeds from our overall business, rather than pigeonholing to a mix. So our why is really that we feel that this is a better opportunity to get to know our customer base, and for other people that are looking for our product to learn about the customer base. And again, not just being that one-sided restaurant. We said that we had three groups. The why is to touch on all three groups. And also that one day you'll see another person in between the two of us, or maybe one of us will be gone on the other side, and we'll be sitting down and you'll see something new and learn a little bit more from other people, not just us. You know, it's always nice to learn from somebody else, rather than, you know, people always just say, you don't coach your own kid, because they're not going to listen to you, but they'll listen to a coach. It's always nice. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So to sit down and actually talk to somebody and get that stuff out, rather than us just telling everybody what it is that we're doing. Yeah. You can actually see it in the work.
It's a conversation instead of just information. You know, so
that's our why. You know, that's a big part of our why. Our number one why is our umbrella, that we're always working towards the Lord, and that everything that we do is for the glory of God. And, you know, we're working this way. We go this way, but, you know, we always want to turn inward, and that's the biggest why. And then that, again, we feel that this change is going to bring so much more to our community and in the service that we already do in our everyday life and our walk in our faith.
All right, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you want to learn more, head to backmountainmicrogreens.com and make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like our video, and when we get the videos rolling with our customers, you know, you'll be the first to know. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.